Hallo und herzlich willkommen hier auf dem YouTube-Kanal von QuestCastVR. Heute gucken wir in Crafting Crimes rein. Dieses Spiel wird mit keinem geringeren Satz beworben als ein True Crime Podcast neu gedacht für Mixed Reality. Ich kann mit True Crime überhaupt nichts anfangen, aber vielleicht kann mich dieses Spiel bzw. diese Anwendung ja vom Gegenteil überzeugen. Ich bin gespannt. Das Ganze ist von dem Entwickler Targo, hat nichts mit der Bank zu tun und es gibt es ausschließlich auf Englisch. Könnte vielleicht für den einen oder anderen eine Hürde sein, aber ich würde sagen, wir gucken einfach mal rein. Viel Spaß. So, hier musste ich jetzt an meinen Schreibtisch wechseln, denn wir haben hier eine, ausschließlich Mixed Reality Erfahrung. Ich bin mal gespannt, was das wird. Okay, das sieht schon cool aus. Okay, hier kann man das auf jeden Fall dann die Größe und die Höhe natürlich alles anpassen. Bin ich mal gespannt. Wie gesagt, ich habe noch gar keine Ahnung davon, aber lassen wir uns mal überraschen.
Hi, I'm Carol, and I'm a storyteller with a miniature twist. For years, I've been combining my passion for model making with my interest in true crime. From unsolved murders to infamous heists, I've recreated real-life crime scenes in miniature, layer by layer, object by object, to see if there are any hidden clues in the tiny details that might reveal a missing piece of the puzzle. Welcome to Crafting Crime. Today, you and I are going to recreate a scene from one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history, the Lizzie Borden house. Fall River, Massachusetts, 1892. Andrew Borden is a wealthy businessman, owner of a bank, but famously tight with his money. His daughters Emma and Lizzie lost their mother when they were young. Andrew remarried Abby, a stepmother they never truly accepted and still called Mrs. Borden. Andrew helped Abby's family financially, which reportedly frustrated his daughters. Imagine your father helping his new in-laws while denying you certain comforts. A kind of thing that could easily create resentment, envy, and a strained household dynamic. Now that we have a better understanding of the household's tension atmosphere, we're going to construct the Borden family house to examine it. But before we get started, let's take a moment to set you up.
Okay, wow.
When beginning a new case, I like to start with the floor plan. It's the literal foundation of a location and sometimes of a story. Researching the design and layout of the home was tricky because I had very limited visual references of the house at the time of the murder. Everything there, from wallpaper to furniture, was recreated based on a few surviving photographs of the house at the time of the murders, combined with 1890s style references. The scene of a crime can tell us a lot, especially if it's where the victim, and perhaps even the murderer, lived. Let's start with the downstairs. The house had 2 floors. We're going to focus on the downstairs first.
Okay. Also ich muss sagen, das hat irgendwie was. Also die Videos von der Auflösung her, die sind schon mal sehr, sehr, sehr geil. So, und jetzt stand hier doch irgendwie, ich könnte hier pitchen und zoomen, beziehungsweise, dass ich den Tisch ein bisschen runterstelle. Weil mein Tisch ist eigentlich hier und nicht hier oben. Da bin ich mir gerade noch unsicher, wie das gehen soll. Es gibt hier auch keinerlei Einstellungen oder so. Egal, dann bleiben wir erstmal so. Oder? Oder muss ich... Nee, so auch nicht, so auch nicht. Okay, vielleicht fahren wir das später noch. So, hier haben wir jetzt die verschiedenen Räume. Was haben wir denn hier? So, das würde doch... Stimmt, genau.
The parlor. In wealthy homes in 1892, the parlor would have been carefully arranged and reserved for receiving visitors, reflecting the family's social standing.
Okay, das ist aber echt cool gemacht. Also nur schon alleine rein optisch hier. Das sieht echt witzig aus. Und wenn man sich jetzt so vorstellt, okay, hierüber wird jetzt die Geschichte erzählt, das finde ich schon stark.
This front entry was guests' first impression of the house. It seems like Andrew, Lizzie's father, wasn't a popular man in Fall River. In fact, on the morning of the murder, one of his workers came by with a dispute over pay.
Mhm. So.
The pantry for storing food. A few days before the murders, the whole household had been violently ill. Andrew was so unpopular in Fall River that his wife Abby had feared poison. The dining room. The two daughters rarely ate with their father and stepmother. The kitchen. The cooking was done by the Borden's maid, Bridget Sullivan, an Irish immigrant they called Maggie. You might notice one room is missing. The heart of the story. The sitting room. This is where the first body was found. It's hard to picture it with just a blank space, right? Let's furnish it.
Okay. Ach, guck mal, wenn man hier so durchgeht, dann verschwindet das auch. Mhm.
On the hot morning of August 4th, at about 10:30 a.m., Andrew Borden returned from a trip into town and decided to lay down on the sofa for a nap. The next time anyone saw him, he was dead.
Was ich direkt mal sagen muss, mein Problem an True Crime ist immer, dass meine Aufmerksamkeitsspanne überhaupt nicht vorhanden ist. Ich finde zwar immer die Fälle natürlich spannend und es ist natürlich ganz, ganz schlimm, was da passiert, das steht ja außer Frage, aber ich habe null Aufmerksamkeit, ja, dann wirklich da dran zu bleiben. Hier ist es allerdings so, wenn du wirklich interaktiv mitmachst und so, könnte ich mir vorstellen, könnte das auch was für mich sein.
Financial conflicts over money were already a source of tension, and maybe even anger.
Und bringt einen vielleicht auch nochmal näher an das ganze Geschehen ran, weil man ja erstens, also rein körperlich tatsächlich auch hier näher dran ist im Haus und weil man halt auch mit den Sachen interagiert und somit vielleicht auch mehr Bezug dazu hat, als wenn man es jetzt nur hört, liest oder was auch immer macht.
The daughters wanted to move to a more modern home, but their father remained tight-fisted with his money. Despite their wealth, the house lacked indoor plumbing and bathtubs. Unlike the parlor, the sitting room was a private space for the family. Time to paint in the blood, a gruesome but crucial part of scene reconstruction, as it tells us a lot about the crime. Amidst all that blood was a horrifying sight. Mr. Borden on the couch, brutally murdered, hacked to death with a sharp object. Later during the murder trials, prosecutors exhibited his skull. He'd been struck multiple times in the head with a hatchet. The brutality shocked the entire nation. But Andrew Borden wasn't the only murder at the house that day. Upstairs was another gruesome scene waiting to be discovered.
Okay.
Upstairs was a little bit more complicated. It's almost as if the house was divided in two, one half for the daughters and the other half for their father and stepmother.
So, das Schlafzimmer, ist das Lizzies? Nee, das wird das hier sein.
Lizzie's father and stepmother lived at the back of the house, with a separate staircase that led straight to their room from a side door. Lizzie's room. Despite the family's wealth, these bedrooms were small. Living this close with tension already high, it wouldn't be hard for resentment to build, or to turn into something worse. This staircase led to the daughters' rooms, the guest room, and a closet. There was a small landing, but no hall. All the bedrooms led straight into one another. Abby had a dressing room almost as big as Emma's room.
Den habe ich eben nicht als solches erkannt, aber ja. Ups. So, das wird der hier sein. Ja. Okay, hier geht's noch zum Dachboden.
Emma's room. On the day of the murder, Lizzie's older sister Emma was away on a trip. That empty space you see now, that's the guest room. After finding the first body downstairs, one of the witnessing neighbors ventured upstairs, and to their shock, another body was lying on the floor of the guest room. First, let's furnish the room. Lizzie's maternal uncle John was visiting at the time and was staying in the guest room. Abby had probably come upstairs to make the bed for him. Here, between the dresser and the bed, is where Abby Borden's body was found. She was struck up to about 18 times in the back of the head with a hatchet.
Das ist nicht so geil.
The model is nearly finished. Now just the roof and the attic. That's where Maggie, the maid, lived. And there it is, the Borden house, complete. 2 savage murders, but no suspects. Historians and enthusiasts have been researching this case for years. Reports and evidence gathered give us some kind of an idea into how that August morning of 1892 unfolded for the Bordens. What happened on that fateful day? Let's try to reconstruct the timeline of August 4th, 1892.
Okay, wow, das ist schon echt cool gemacht. Also jetzt mal auch rein technisch, dass hier so eine Nebelatmosphäre ist und so. Das ist schon krass. Also man wird auf jeden Fall mehr reingezogen.
August 4th began routinely. It was a sweltering day. The maid likely woke up early to start her chores. Andrew, Abby Borden, and their visitor, Uncle John, likely eat breakfast together in the dining room. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Around 9 a.m., a man believed to be Mr. Borden's employee arrived to collect a debt. Mr. Borden apparently resolved the issue. About a half an hour later, he and John, Lizzie's uncle, are said to have left into town. Abby Borden heads upstairs to the guest room to make the bed.
Okay, wow.
We believe that's when she struck 18 or 19 times in the back of the head with a hatchet. Investigators believe she turned to face her attacker, then collapsed after she was struck.
Das ist krass.
She falls face down on the floor and lies there, undiscovered for over an hour. "10:30 a.m. Mr. Borden returned home and found the side door locked. He then went around to the front entrance, where he also struggled with the lock. eventually having to bang on the door. Bridget rushed to open it. And as she did, she reported hearing a giggle from upstairs. Looking up, she saw Lizzie at the top of the staircase. At some point, Andrew makes his way to the sitting room and decides to take a nap. Lizzie claimed to have been outside for about 15 minutes when a loud noise from the house startled her. She went back inside and was met with a horrifying sight. Her father on the couch, brutally murdered, hacked to death by numerous blows. Then Lizzie calls out, "Maggie, come quick! Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." In a panic, Lizzie instructed Bridget to alert the neighborhood doctor. Neighbors soon gathered and the Borden residence transformed into a chaotic scene. At this point, Abby was nowhere to be found. Until someone checked upstairs and found her body. After that, things start to move quickly. Police arrived, but the scene had already been compromised by foot traffic. Authorities sweep the home looking for evidence, and they find an axe with a seemingly freshly broken handle in the cellar. The axe would later be used at the trial, where they used it to line up against molds made of the Borden skulls, but it was ultimately ruled out as the actual murder weapon. Fall River wants answers, and soon the case becomes a national sensation. Lizzie gives conflicting testimonies. First she said she was in the barn, then she was just out back, and Maggie claims she was napping upstairs and heard nothing. Before long, Lizzie would become a suspect. Shortly after that, she was caught cutting up a dress she claimed had paint on it and was planning to burn. Suspicious because old clothes back then would have been repurposed for cleaning rags. A week later, Lizzie is arrested, accused of the double murder of her father and stepmother. The trial begins almost a year later, and it's a media circus, but the prosecution struggles. No weapon, no witnesses, no blood-stained clothes. At the time, many doubted a woman could commit such violence. On June 20th, 1893, after just 90 minutes, the jury returns its verdict: not guilty. Lizzie is acquitted and walks free. She remains in Fall River, where she and Emma move into a big house on the hill, just like they seemingly always wanted. Emma would eventually move out, and Lizzie would continue living the rest of her life there as the woman many still believe got away with murder. To this day, the Borden murders remain one of the most well-known unsolved crimes in American history. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you gained a literal new perspective from crafting this crime. What I love about a finished model is being able to explore it. This house is yours now. Explore it anytime, revisit the story, and form your own theory.
Ja, Mensch, Sachen gibt's. Ja. Krass. Okay. Ich hätte jetzt auch nicht gedacht, dass gleich der ganze Fall schon hier auf dem Tisch liegt. Wortwörtlich. Ja, sehr interessant. Also ich muss sagen, war natürlich jetzt alles sehr kurz und knackig, aber zieht einen tatsächlich rein. Also das kann man nicht anders sagen. Und hier sollen ja dann noch 2 weitere Fälle kommen. Guckt da auf jeden Fall mal rein, weil bisher ist das Ganze hier noch kostenlos zu haben. Und ich denke mal, dass die beiden Fälle dann was kosten werden. Ist ja auch richtig so. Irgendwie muss man ja auch sein Geld verdienen. Und das war auf jeden Fall mal eine sehr außergewöhnliche und spannende Erfahrung. Und auch rein technisch finde ich das gut gemacht. Es ist eine sehr coole Idee, das so umzusetzen. Ja, gefällt mir. Gefällt mir definitiv. Das Einzige, was ich mir noch gewünscht hätte, dass ich hier wirklich diese Tischplatte runtersetzen kann. Wenn ihr das irgendwie geschafft habt, könnt ihr mir mal sagen in den Kommentaren vielleicht, wie ihr das gemacht habt. Weil, als diese Videos kamen und das Haus davor war, konnte man nach Schlechte nur noch hintergucken. Aber ansonsten gefällt mir das sehr. Vor allem, dass auch um einen herum hier alles abgedunkelt ist. Das macht eine sehr coole Stimmung. Ja. Sehr passend. Gefällt mir. Ja, ich würde sagen, wenn euch das Video gefallen hat, dann lasst doch gerne mal ein Like da und noch besser abonniert diesen Kanal und ich würde mich freuen, wenn wir uns das nächste Mal wiedersehen. Also, haut rein.